I do a thing with toms where I use triggers to trigger the threshold of gates. So I'm not using triggers to trigger any sort of extraneous electronic sound. The toms themselves are the acoustic sound of them, but I am using the triggers to trigger the threshold of the gates. And the reason is you can adjust the threshold of your gates a lot tighter when you're using a trigger that is a trigger is just another microphone, basically. But the thing about a trigger is it's attached right to the drum itself. And if you put it in a way so that it's not near any of the other drums and not near any of the other cymbals, then it becomes a microphone that is specific to that tom. What happens if you don't do this, if you use a threshold of the gate using the actual tom microphone that you have? Well, think about where you normally place tom microphones. They're usually right next to a cymbal, or the other tom is right here, right next to it. So it's a lot harder to adjust that threshold. Sometimes when you bash the cymbal, it opens the gate up, that kind of stuff. With these triggers, you can place that trigger in a place on the shell of the drum that is away from cymbals and away from the other toms, for example, away from the snare drum, away from all that stuff. So I take into account when I'm looking at the placement of those triggers, I look at it, I look at the kit and I say, okay, obviously I want the triggers on the other side of the toms from where the snare drum is, and also away from the other drums themselves. So if there's a bunch of toms and then there's kind of a break where there's two cymbals, then I'll put the trigger on that side so that it's away from this tom that's over here.